Imagine this. You're in a conversation that feels off. The other person keeps asking you questions that seem innocent, but somehow you're opening up more than you meant to. You start to doubt your opinion, reframe your memories, and even question your original feelings. By the end, you're agreeing with them, even though deep down, something doesn't sit right. What just happened? You were likely on the receiving end of covert NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, a psychological framework often used to gain unconscious control in conversations. Today, we're going to unmask exactly how NLP works, how it's used to manipulate without detection, and how you can protect yourself before someone installs ideas into your brain that were never yours to begin with. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, originally developed in the 1970s by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. NLP was created as a system to model how people achieve excellence by studying the language patterns, mental imagery, and behaviors of high performers. But it quickly evolved into something far more controversial. NLP practitioners realized that by using very specific words, tones, and body language, they could subtly steer conversations, change people's perceptions, and even embed suggestions directly into someone's subconscious. What began as a self-help tool became a psychological scalpel, and in the wrong hands, a weapon. Most manipulative uses of NLP in conversation follow a structured playbook designed to lower resistance, establish authority, and install ideas. Let's break it down. Stage 1, pacing and leading. This is how the manipulator gets you to feel seen. They'll start by matching your body language, speech rhythm, and emotional tone. This is called mirroring, and it builds subconscious trust. Then comes pacing. They state things you already believe. You're watching this video right now. You're probably someone who wants to understand how things really work. Maybe you've experienced someone talking circles around you before. They might say, each of these creates micro agreements in your mind. Once you're nodding along, they begin leading, subtly shifting the conversation into their agenda. You'll barely notice the switch. Stage 2, anchoring and reframing. Now that your guard is down, they start associating emotional responses with specific words, gestures, or tones. This is called anchoring. For example, if every time they talk about truth, they tap the table and smile, your brain begins linking that gesture with trust. Later, when they tap the table and say something false, part of your mind still accepts it. Reframing is when they take your perspective and flip it. You're not scared, you're excited. You didn't fail, you learned. You're not being manipulated, you're becoming more open-minded. These language shifts subtly rewire how you process your own thoughts. Stage 3, embedded commands. Here's where things get dark. Using specific sentence structures, NLP-trained individuals can hide commands inside ordinary speech. For example, some people, when they really start to think clearly, begin to trust the process without even knowing why. And as you sit there listening, you may find it's easier to agree with what I'm saying. These are called embedded commands, suggestions that bypass your conscious mind and speak directly to your unconscious. They don't always work like hypnosis, but over time, they shape beliefs, behaviors, and even decisions. Now let's look at why your brain is so vulnerable to this. NLP works because it hijacks core psychological processes. Rapport seeking. Humans are wired to trust those who seem similar to us. When someone mirrors your posture or speech, your brain interprets it as, they're like me. That lowers your defenses instantly. Pattern recognition. Your unconscious mind is always scanning for patterns. NLP phrases mimic these, creating rhythms and cadences that feel meaningful. even if they're loaded with suggestion. Cognitive shortcuts. The human brain processes about 11 million bits of information per second, but your conscious mind can only handle about 40. To keep up, it relies on shortcuts or heuristics, and NLP is designed to exploit them. This is why a well-trained NLP manipulator can say less and influence more than someone making a full logical argument. Now, your defense toolkit, the 4-step NLP shield. So how do you protect yourself from conversational control tactics? Here is your 4-step shield. Step 1, notice the rhythm. If someone speaks in a slow, hypnotic pattern, using vague but agreeable language like, you may begin to notice, pause. You're likely being paced and led. Step 2, break the mirror. If you notice someone matching your posture, speech rate, or breathing rhythm, shift something, cross your arms, speak faster, lean away. If they copy again, they're mirroring. Step 3, disrupt the pattern. Ask specific, unexpected questions that force conscious thought. What do you mean exactly by that? Why do you say it that way? Or, can you clarify what that implies? This pulls the conversation out of the unconscious layer and breaks their control loop. Step 4, reverse the frame. If someone reframes your thoughts for you, flip it back. That's one way to look at it, but here's what I actually think. That's not how I describe it. Actually, I'd say, by doing this, you reclaim your cognitive authority over your own interpretation. Let's look at 2 men who experienced NLP manipulation in very different ways. Case 1, Alex, the sales trap. Alex walked into a high-ticket coaching seminar thinking he'd learn about leadership. The speaker opened with, "You're here because you know you're destined for more. You've had that whisper, that feeling, that your time is now." Alex nodded along. The speaker paced, "You felt stuck. You've wondered if you're wasting time. But now you realize you were preparing for this moment." Then came the embedded command. "And when you decided today to take that first big leap, your future self will thank you." By the end of the event, Alex paid $5,000 to step into his greatness. He later realized he hadn't even asked what the program delivered. He'd just been led to feel like he already decided. That's NLP done in a high-pressure context. Case 2, Jordan, the narcissist's weapon. Jordan was dating someone who always seemed to win every argument. Whenever he brought up concerns, they'd say, "I know you think I hurt you, but that's just your perspective. I see it as a growth opportunity." Or, "The fact that you're so upset shows how deeply this matters, and that means we're evolving." Jordan began questioning his own reactions. He started apologizing, even when he wasn't sure why. He later discovered his partner had studied NLP. They weren't listening. They were reframing everything to control the narrative. When Jordan finally broke the pattern and pushed back, their influence collapsed. Wondering if someone has used NLP tactics on you? Take this quiz. Do they mirror your words or movements consistently? Do they reframe your experiences with their own interpretations? Do they speak in vague but emotionally charged phrases like, "You know what needs to happen"? Do they use phrases like, "You're probably realizing," or "as you think about"? Do you feel influenced without knowing why? If you answered yes to 3 or more, you may have been NLP'd without your consent. NLP isn't magic, but it's powerful. It works by shaping how we interpret, react, and believe, often without our awareness. Let's review the 3-stage playbook: pacing and leading, anchoring and reframing, and lastly, embedded commands. It hijacks rapport seeking, pattern recognition, cognitive shortcuts. Your 4-step shield: notice the rhythm, break the mirror, disrupt the pattern, and reverse the frame. Whether it's a salesperson, cult leader, or even a manipulative friend, now you'll see their tactics for what they are. If you found this breakdown valuable and want more tools to recognize and dismantle manipulation tactics, like, comment, and subscribe to Atypical Tactics. Every tactic can be countered once you know the game.